must see this droid safely delivered to him on Alderaan. This is our most desperate hour. Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
Anakin Skywalker, meet Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Obi-Wan! Oh, buddy!
Hello there.
General Kenobi! Kenobi!
Obi-Wan. That's why I'm here.
Because of Obi-Wan.
Kenobi is all that matters now. Is that understood?
Welcome to the Chiss Ascendancy podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to
Chiss Ascendancy.
episode 87.
You made it.
Yes, we did. It's
howdy.
a beautiful, beautiful Saturday night here in Houston, Texas. Samuel's in town.
It's a balmy 91 degrees out under the cover of darkness.
Yeah, there's a heat and a sun index and a heat warning outside.
Yeah.
Pitch black.
It's warm.
Don't get moon burnt. Watch out for the moon.
Always a danger.
So we're recording together here on site, and so episode 87. What are we talking about today, Samuel?
We'll be talking about Kenobi episode 5.
Woo.
I think easily the best episode so far.
It's a spicy meatball.
Yeah, I think we're on par, if not surpassing, the Vader scene in Rogue One. I would say surpassing.
Oh, come on, yeah,
Personally,
for sure.
would. I mean, obviously the Rogue One scene's iconic because it's, preluding into,
Right,
the first ever. But this was,
off the chain.
yeah.
It was over the top, and it was probably one of the most like emotionally involved moments with Vader.
Definitely.
Because before it was all business, but it's more than that now. So it's emotional, it's personal.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of play into the Kenobi-Vader relationship that was always there. It was always subtext, but now it was made. They were not at all very subtle with the with the interplay there. It was rather heavy-handed. I'm here for it. I crave the obvious after all the subtleties of mundane reality, but I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Yeah, me too. So it was a very interesting breakdown of the events leading up to there. And I know that one of the complaints we had been hearing was episode 1, Leia kidnapped. Episode 2, Leia escapes. She's rescued. Episode 3, though, Leia's kidnapped. And episode 4, she's rescued. So, and we only have 6 episodes.
Yeah.
And so we were kind of wondering, like, when's it all going to come to a head? Mm-hmm. Like, there's got to be something that happens that's a stormbreaker.
Yeah, and I think it's very apparent where we're going. If we want to just go ahead and knock out the what's next, I saw Haja drop the transmitter.
Yeah,
and it's not a holo projector, but you know what it is.
It's like it's not a comm link. The little
it's a I don't know.
Not the little oval-shaped doodad.
They're just Marco Poloing,
It's the
Kenobi
thing that
and
your
Bill
holographic Qui-Gon Jinn toy came with in 1999.
What are those called? I don't know.
I don't know.
Anyway.
Some kind of a communication device.
It's dropped by Haja, and I saw that it was left, and I was like, the camera lingered on it, something's happening
Obviously
here.
important, right?
Yeah, and so as soon as they got away, I was like, oh, maybe Ben will be like, oh, need this. Mm-hmm. He did not, and... you just see in the back of my mind, as soon as the Reva Vader fight's done, I was like, oh my god, that's still there.
Right.
I was like, Luke's location's on that. Bale's, talking to Kenobi. Like, there's so much implication here.
Yeah.
For
there's
the
a lot of
illegality of
right.
their actions.
There's a lot of implication, and there's a lot of like, not just how she talks in episode 3 to I guess it was in episode 4, she's talking to Leia, referring to the safe space in episode 3, the Jedi Underground Railroad, and she's like, we heard some rumors, but we found them. Mm-hmm. It wasn't rumors. It was like, to anyone reading this, I'm Bail Organa. a Jedi sympathizer. Like
it's kind of like have you ever watched Community? Which I feel like there's a Star Wars tie here because Childish Gambino plays Troy.
Donald Glover.
Yeah, and he also plays our beloved Lando Calrissian. And there's this character in the first episode, and he doesn't know how to like be covert at all. But he's like, "This is Professor Duncan. Meet me in the parking lot." You know, and he's like, "What's wrong with your voice?" He's like, "It's disguised." You know, but he says his actual name. You know, so it's kind of like it's just very broadcasting. You know.
Yeah.
By the way, the other kid, you know, I'll help you protect him, I guess.
Yeah.
Know?
He was like
everybody
I've cut
knows.
off communication.
Andy says Owen, and she knows who Owen is.
She knows who Owen is.
And I was like, oh my God, freaking come on, Bale. You're better than this.
Yeah, I was very surprised.
Who's going to bail him out? You know what I mean?
You kind of bailed there. You kind of bailed out the... Yeah, I was kind of worried about, I guess, even, you know, if I was up to nefarious acts, right? Especially if I was like, it was a big deal, not just like a little bit of something illegal here and there. If it was a big deal, I wouldn't be like, hey guys, like at least do like this with a mustache drawn on the other side of your hand or something. Like,
or, you know, like in Harry Potter, there's that whole, it's not in the movies so much, I don't think, but in the books, there's the story arc in Order of the Phoenix that like the communication in and out of Hogwarts is being monitored, right? And so they have to like speak in code, and so he's writing this letter to Sirius, who doesn't even have his actual name on the letter. And,
right.
You know, he's like, you know, my best friend's still here, yada, yada, yada. He's almost as nice as, you know, your mom. Right. You know, just saying like, this chick sucks. Yeah. But... there was none of it. There was not any...
Yeah, there's no Padfoot.
There's nothing,
Yeah,
man.
Vale wasn't even like, they'll never just understand me with these glasses on.
He
like,
didn't even, you know, have a decency to put on some Clark Kent glasses, you know?
Right.
And he was like, this is me, Bail Organa, reaching out to you, Ben, a.k.a. Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah. And if Leia's dead, we know she's one of the twins of Anakin Skywalker and Padme Amidala, the former queen of Naboo, deceased senator, and we all miss her terribly. If Leia's dead, I'll go to the Lars homestead. You know Owen and Beru, just on the other side of Anchorhead, outside of the Dune Sea.
Again, I think the boy's name is Luke.
How's your Yopi? Yeah.
You know, looks a great deal like his dad. You know, you couldn't miss him in a crowd. Anyway, I'll go help out.
It was just so obvious.
Again, his uncle Owen is going to need some help. And so just...
and should anyone else see this... I'm just kidding.
On the off chance my daughter is still alive, you know, just bang my line, you know, and just I'll just call this whole shebang off.
If anyone sees this, gotcha.
Dude,
it's a joke.
There is like less subtlety there than like a Lego Star Wars interpretation of that scene. Get your red flags, you know.
Dude, that's really funny. Get your red flags here.
So I think we can pretty safely say that Reva's going to find herself on Tatooine and either be converted through the diplomacy of our beloved Obi-Wan Kenobi, or try to take Luke hostage, and then we see, you know, Obi-Wan kind of
have to step in,
be a little bit more protective, because he's definitely more protective over Luke than he is of Leia.
Yeah,
and he's become pretty fond of Leia.
I would say that my I guess my going back into the normal like portfolio of how we do things like this, my overall thoughts on it were, you know, the progression. It's been so steep, and I know that we're back in the olden days when you saw things in the theater. You're used to seeing a pretty terrible progression in the matter of a number of hours. You know, similar to Revenge of the Sith. It's like, goodbye, old friend. Hi, you know, like, and of course the 30 minutes.
Yeah, it's
but
truncated.
Because now we're used to TV shows. You know, I was like, oh wow. You know, the transition has taken 5 episodes, which is, you know, even if they're averaging, I know it's more than 30 minutes, but if they're averaging 30 minutes, you know, that's
basically the Revenge of the Sith. You know, the whole transformation.
But it's also been weeks.
Right.
That's the other thing, is it's been a couple of hours, but it's been a couple of weeks. And so it was surprising to me how much, like, you know, Lucas... something that Blast Points podcast always talks about is that rant that George Lucas goes on when he's talking about, like, here's selflessness, here's selfishness, here's the difference, here's why the dark side is quicker to bring results, but shorter lasting. And here's why the light side of the Force is you can't just pull on it when you want, but it brings long, lifelong results, even eternal results, in some cases, obviously, once you get the cosmic force involved. But
I'm going to be heavy with the pop culture references. I'm reading my way through the Inheritance cycle again.
Okay.
And there's
with Aragorn and all that?
Yeah, so there's this one elf that, like, everybody else is just kind of doing their thing, just enjoying life, and she's, like, not using magic, nothing. She's, like, a hard, nose to the grindstone type of individual. And Aragorn was basically asking her, wouldn't you just enjoy life as, everybody else does? And she says, when you can have anything you want with just a few words, the destination doesn't matter. It's about the journey to get there. And it's kind of like that kind of summarizes the argument I think that George Lucas kind of presents, that, the dark side, you get there really quickly, but it doesn't develop you in a way that is sustainable. It's just the matter of a few words to get what you want, but the light side is the journey, and it's you become the person not by getting to the destination but traveling to it.
It's interesting too, because it's like, and when you look at relationships, like a selfish relationship is someone who just goes out and they're just trying to find someone to get a physical satisfaction from, but ultimately, every feel-good movie ever, it's like, I'm just sick of this life. I'm 38 years old,
I'm done being a successful lawyer at the age of 35 in my massive downtown Manhattan office. It's time I return to my small northeastern town home and get down to my roots.
Before the aliens attack. We're in Maine.
Along the way, you find love. Maybe it's Christmas time. Maybe she's got a couple kids, but that's all right. You love them too.
You love kids. The name of the movie's The Kid. You're Bruce Willis.
Oh, man.
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, so it's kind of that same thing where it's like...
Talk about lack of subtlety.
What, The Kid?
Yeah.
I know. I wonder what this movie's about.
Let's talk about how...
That's a wacky movie.
Let's talk about how Bruce Willis can time travel, and nobody addresses that.
I know.
Kid Bruce Willis time travels, then he forgets how, and then I guess somehow adult Bruce Willis, regains his ability when he can fly and has the dog that he always wanted. I never figured that one out.
Yeah, there's 3 of them at one point. What is this? Stewie Griffin's Multiverse of Madness? That's what it reminded me of. Like, no, Brian, we have to kill these.
Yeah, no.
I always thought that, like, old man Bruce Willis would be like, just kill both of them.
Well, it's funny because I don't know. He's in he's the old man in Looper.
Yeah.
It's like, well,
this guy's really into this.
Yeah.
And then you have the fat kid from Cat in the Hat.
He still had his lisp then too, so it's like,
yeah.
Ugh.
It's like he's on purpose, like kind of chunky, like that's what they were looking for.
I also respect you for going with Cat in the Hat and not
Santa Claus.
No, I was
2, 3.
I wasn't gonna say Santa Claus. I was gonna say the Shaggy Dog. He was Tim Allen's son, Shaggy Dog.
Is he really?
Yeah.
Oh. I know the kid was like his big break.
Yeah,
and then,
for sure. He was young then.
What was after that? Cat in the Hat?
Probably.
He was also the kid that made the
preteen years, and
he was also the kid that made the rubber butt Santa Claus.
Yep, that was him. That was him for sure.
Santa loves Coco.
I wonder if him and Tim Allen are buddies. Because that'd be 3 movies they were in together.
3?
Yeah, Shaggy Dog, both the Santa Claus movies.
Oh yeah. Was he in Santa Claus 3?
No, Santa Claus 1 and 2. Maybe he was in Santa Claus 3.
He wasn't in 1 though.
Sure he was.
No.
Sure he was.
He wasn't.
All right. Anyway, continue with your... I'm going to fact check you.
He wasn't. The character Curtis. He's in Santa Claus 2. Okay. This is why you guys listen to the show. Okay, but my overall thoughts were that I enjoyed it. While you're looking that up, okay, here's a little news. We made it all the way to Saturday night, and my wife has been asking me to shave my mutton chops since Wednesday. So for those of you watching on YouTube, here you go. Because the chops are coming off tomorrow. The chops are getting chopped. But I wanted our viewers to get a little something extra this week. Also in news for the podcast, before we get back to Kenobi and Samuel's fact-checking me on if Curtis, the younger kid from the movie The Kid, is in Santa Claus 1, which he's not.
All right.
Here's a little news about the podcast. As of right now, technically speaking, you are listening to 2 professional Star Wars content creators.
Wow.
because based on our shorts performance from last month, we got a email from YouTube asking if we'd like to receive a shorts bonus and become of the shorts funding program. And so we just got a little something, nothing crazy. But we were paid to make Star Wars content.
That's very exciting. I just got more excited because he's in Zoom with Tim Allen again. He's not in the first Santa Claus, but he's in Santa Claus 3.
There you go. 2 and 3. So yeah, that was very exciting. And Samuel was asking me earlier this week, or I guess it was yesterday. He's just in town for the last couple of days, and he's leaving again tomorrow. Yeah. But you were asking me when we started this whole thing, did I ever see us being any kind of successful?
Yeah.
Or what was the question? What was what you put?
I think it was just I don't know, the surrealism of kind of what's happened here lately. Because I don't know, it was just. We thought maybe something fast would happen, like maybe we'd catch, and then, 40 episodes in, we're like, and for all 3 of our viewers, we appreciate your patronage, and I don't know, it's just kind of really taken off. So I was like, I don't know if like even now, it still feels like anything's moving, but it's really exciting.
It's pretty cool. We're over 4,000 subscribers now. We're over 2.25 million views.
Pretty cool.
I think. Let's see. If I go to my YouTube studio section. Let's see. Our views. Let's see. Let's see. Analytics. I'm still new to this. Okay. So our views are at, in the last 28 days, are at 2.2 million.
It's exciting.
In the last 28 days. And obviously that's because we've been doing those shorts in the last 28 days. But yeah, I never thought we would get, I remember like, wow, we might get 10,000 views.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, we might get 100,000 views. We might get 500,000. We might get 1 million.
Yeah.
And now we're at 2.25. And obviously there's things that taper and they ebb and flow and things like that. So if you're a listener, if you've been a long-time listener, or if you're new to the show, please, if this is your first time hearing us, please feel free to... Sorry. The reason that happens is because there's a freaking ad on this video that we have. Anyways.
It reminds me of that reel you sent me where he's like the Naruto, or the anime kid.
Yeah.
Your stupid thoughts are entering my brain. Silence! Dude, I was like,
you can't defeat me. But if you're new to the channel, thank you for checking us out. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel, and all that kind of good stuff.
Knocking that out early. Good job.
We'll do it again later. I will continue to plug us shamelessly. But I would ask if you are a longtime listener, especially if you are a audio-only kind of person, if you are one of those people that listens to Spotify or SoundCloud or Apple Podcasts, things like that, something that the channel needs is to fully become monetized. So we have this we have this month-to-month kind of contract going, but to be fully monetized, we need more watch hours, and it doesn't include the shorts.
Right.
So we're at tens of thousands of hours of watch time, including the shorts, but that doesn't count towards your monetization. So we've reached every wall except for this last one, and we are short. We are mighty sick. We're short when it comes to our watch hours, and so especially if you're just a listener, please, if you were asking me what can we do to help you continue this path of growth, it would be to watch, you subscribe to our YouTube and watch the longer videos, the podcast, and we're going to be making more longer videos, even specialty clips of just some of our highlights from the shows. Yeah. Anyways, back to Obi-Wan Kenobi.
So, my overall thoughts. It takes a big man to admit when they're wrong, and I am that big man. I was wrong. You were right about Reva. Eat it up. Enjoy it. I felt like it would be too obvious for her to be one of the students, one of the Padawans. But here we are, episode 5. She was one of the ones. I also love that, she never, fooled Vader. As soon as her usefulness was over, he's like, you think I didn't know? Mm-hmm. I knew. You think I didn't see it? I saw it. So I like that that's how they kind of revealed it, because I don't know. I don't like if they try to make Vader even remotely accessible to someone of her distinguishment. So I enjoyed that that's how they revealed it.
It also, I think something that stands out to me is I was in a chat recently and we were talking about if each of us in the group were talking about if we thought we were a hardcore fan or not. And some people were like, I really enjoy it. I wouldn't consider myself hardcore. And I was like, I'm very hardcore.
But you're not hardcore.
And they're talking about the ownership of Star Wars if you are a hardcore fan. And what I was talking to them about was that's part of the hard thing is when something like Star Wars, which is lightning in a bottle, it's a once in a millennia story that we're adding to. It's been such a big part of a lot of our lives. And because it's been a big part of who we are, we feel like we own it, even though we don't own it. And so when it doesn't behave like we think it should behave, we become bitter.
Yeah.
And we got a good sense of that when Reva mentioned Anakin's name in episode 2. And we got another sense of it when the Grand Inquisitor was stabbed in episode 2. And so I would say if you're a hardcore fan, I totally understand. I feel it. I get you. But just enjoy the parts of Star Wars that you enjoy, and you don't have to enjoy everything. You know, it's I would say that Obi-Wan Kenobi has been a very simple show in the sense that it's not The Mandalorian. It's not the Book of Boba Fett when it's got all the crazy...
And there's not as much you have to develop in this because the characters are already so well based.
It's
They're
a
already
deep
so in your
character
pocket
development from point A to point B for Darth Vader and more specifically for Obi-Wan Kenobi. And the show is about this one character. And I miss the Black Chrysanthemum fights. I miss, the things like that. But that's not what this is about. This is a story about a man finding himself after losing himself.
Obi-Wan.
Yeah. And
From a planet, I forget the name of it.
Yeah, I can't remember where he's from, his home planet. But, so my overall thoughts, I really, really enjoyed it. Probably the best episode of the show so far.
Yeah, for sure.
Not just for the action. That's the thing is that in episode 3 of this series, we got some cool action. We finally got some Vader action. But there wasn't as much depth there. And Obi-Wan's still afraid, which is kind of the place he had been in for the first 2 episodes of the season. So now we see that moment where, kind of like we were harping back a while ago about George Lucas and the Force, when Obi-Wan learns that he needs to tap back into the Force, not for himself, but for
others, for
the sake of, the galaxy, for the sake of everything, for the sake of you're not just there to protect Luke, you're there to protect Luke because Luke is the hope of, for lack of a better term, humanity. And that's what he's there to protect. He's not just there. And I think that there was the easiness of the go work at the sushi mart, go feed the Ethiopia fish, go watch over Luke for a few hours, go home, go to bed, reach out to Qui-Gon, he's not there, yada, yada, yada. And I think now there's going to be even more weight to why we're watching over Luke, because it's about the galactic implications. And you can still be the Jedi of old that you used to be. Yeah. You don't have to stay... the Force can still use you. You can still be a vessel. And it's kind of like whenever you see someone who was an elite, whatever. Someone who's really great at something they do and they have a falling, whether they fail or whether it's something that's a break of character or whatever. It's hard for them to get back on the horse in that sense, Yeah. And I think that that's something that he's rediscovering. That's something that he's recovering. And we see him go from barely being able to move this pin or this little tiny box in the spaceship on the way to the Inquisitor's castle to holding back the weight of the water. We talked about that last week. And then this week we see him survive an Order 66 amount of stormtroopers and is back to his negotiating ways with Reva. Yeah. And
he'd like to negotiate, and I was like, frickin' right, he would.
Right. And something that stood out to me also was whenever he gives himself up, and Reva's trying to put it in his face, and she said, or Obi-Wan says, "You're not bringing me to him. I'm bringing him to you." And I think part of that was twofold. I think part of it was you can get your revenge, but I also think part of it was I'm in charge of this situation. I'm the one calling the shots. And so, anyways, I thought that was really good. So my overall thoughts, I really liked it. I really felt like it gave hope to what the future of the show could be if they did want to go with a second season. And so, anyways, we can get into that a little bit later. So, rate it 1 to 10 overall. You gave 3 and 9.5.
I'm gonna give it a 9.7.
Okay.
9.7. The elusive 10's still out there.
I want to know what a 10 is for you.
I do too. We're still finding it.
Oh my gosh.
I did to kind of trail off of a thought that you had said where he was kind of negotiating with Reva. I thought it was cool to see the reversal of where they were in maybe episode 2, where she's like, "Oh, you didn't know Anakin's still alive." She's
completely in control.
She's reading him, and then he's on the other side of the door, and he's like, "You knew her." You know, he's like, "I think you have." Yeah. But it's kind of the old Uno reverse.
The switcheroo.
She was very manipulative and very much reading into him, and he was on his back foot, and now he's playing the offense. He's reading her, and he's digging into her story and making the situation what he would like it to be.
Yeah, and I think it was beautiful because he 100% is stalling, but it's also like.
But he's the guy that can kind of stall and still make something of it. Yeah, you know, he's still finding stuff.
And if you haven't yet bought, if you're not yet listening to the book Brotherhood by Mike Chen, which is a prequel story about Obi-Wan and Anakin, now's the time. Like, it really, it made me feel more emotional than I would have watching this show. Yeah. Because I've got Obi-Wan and Anakin from the very, very beginning of the Clone Wars in the back of my mind, which makes it even more heartbreaking. So you give it a 9.75. I'll give it a... Or 9.7. I'll give it a 9.8.
Oh.
Yeah, I really liked it. And I've watched it 2 or 3 times since, and I still think it's some of the best Star Wars we've gotten since the Disney purchase.
I love it. I'm eating it up. I'm a big fan. I'm going to stand the whole show. I don't even really care.
Yeah. And the thing is, it's not my most emotional moment. The Kylo Ren, Han Solo, Rise of Skywalker moment got me. The most emotional, the most tears I've cried, though, watching Star Wars recently was when Luke appeared in Mandalorian Season 2 finale. And it was just, that's my favorite Jedi of all time. And, you know, I've been reading, you've read a ton of the books. And you're a huge, you know, in your circle of friends, you're by far the biggest Star Wars fan.
Yeah, definitely.
And I've been reading books, I don't know, a decade before you, you know, like, and so there's some of those stories, some of those Legacy of the Force type stories that you're just now getting into of who Luke was before.
Right.
And I think The Last Jedi, for the story that we got, I understand where he was, but having all the foreknowledge of who he could be as the Grand Master and being like, what is this? Like, you know that meme where that kid's in his chair and it's like every vein's popping out of his neck? That's how I felt because I wanted to see Luke.
Yeah.
The Luke we got for like 3.5 minutes on Craig where he's like, and dust his shoulder off, but he's actually not because he's sitting freaking cross-legged up in the air like Kung Fu Panda, like the Dragon Warrior across the galaxy. That's the character I was used to. So when Luke shows up, you know.
Definitely.
Anyways, so standout moments. Can I go first?
Yeah, definitely go for it.
Standout moment for me, there's like 12. But the one, man, a couple of them that got me. I'll say one, and then I don't want to say like a bunch, and then they cover all yours. So right at the beginning, it opens up, and we see a skyline, and I'm like, my first thought was, is this Alderaan?
Yeah.
Because it's kind of a clear sky, but then it's like
too many cities.
But it's too much city,
yeah.
And I was like, looks like Coruscant, and I was like, but this looks like, and this is all in the span of like half a second, you know, this is Republic Coruscant. And then we finally get just the slightest little wavy curly hair. And I was like, you did it! And, you know, you see Anakin's ponytail and I was like, yes! Yes! And it was funny because I usually watch these like 2 in the morning by myself. So I can't scream. And I'm like, and my kids are asleep, you know. My wife's in our room with our, 4-month-old. So it's like, if I even breathe too loud, like he's going to wake up, I'm going to be killed. And so anyways, I'm usually like, oh yeah, like real quietly. But it's my buddy Michael's birthday this week, and I was like, you know what my gift is to you? You can watch Kenobi with me. Like, not to be narcissistic, but like he's getting really heavy into Star Wars, and I was like, let's watch it together. Instead of me, I always watch it first, and then I watch it with him, you know? So we watch it together. I'm sitting on the couch, and it zooms back, and it's Anakin, and I was like, yeah, let's go, just screaming at the top of my lungs. Hayden's smile, no, it's because I'm so in love with you. That smile, that's the one that I was like, woo, he still got it. I immediately missed my mullet seeing Obi-Wan. I was like, dang, look at it, looks good. Yeah. So that was my first standout moment, was finally got the flashback. It's fan service. It's perfect. It lends to the story.
And this is
I loved it.
Now on screen, the earliest that we see Anakin after Episode 2, because he's got the second hand now. He's still the aggressor, and I think he's not.
Oh, you know what? Enough. I never noticed.
He had the glove on. Yeah.
Did he have the glove on?
I'm like positive.
Oh my gosh. Okay, keep going. I want to look this up.
But you see, like him as the aggressor, you know, kind of like enough of a swordsman that Kenobi's like, hey, maybe I'll win this one. You know, very much, you know, seceding or
right, insinuating that Anakin is already stronger in the sense
conceding to the fact that Anakin's the stronger swordsman. But then, you know, as the episode plays out, that he's still not a strong enough tactician, that he still doesn't understand his enemy enough, that he still doesn't understand himself enough, you know, to be ultimately victorious over a challenging opponent. Dude,
and as someone who has had to overcome the over-competitiveness to do my job, you know, as like someone who works with young adults and youth and stuff, it's like, let's say there's a kid that I know he's going through some stuff, and I want to try to communicate with him like how we can get through this together, you know? And he loves basketball, so we play. And he's talking crap. And I just crumple the kid. But like, I remember going through that season as a young man, you know, probably, I'm 29 now, so probably being 20, 21 years old, going to an event with young people. This kid's probably 16 or 17 years old. He's trying to punk me. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, I don't think so. You can't trick the trickster. Yeah. And then I remember my friend telling me, you lost the ability to talk to this kid because you've been a butthole. And I was like, screw the kid. I'm not going to get showed up like that. And I was like, dang, I want to be Obi-Wan, right? Yeah. I want to be Obi-Wan, but I'm Anakin. Because obviously it's nothing to shake a stick at. Yeah. But when Obi-Wan says, Anakin, your need for victory, it blinds you. I was like, frick. Like, he just got me. It just put me right back in my place. You know what I mean? Yeah. But yeah, that was beautiful. That was beautiful. When did you watch it? Because
So I've been watching it
with your
Wednesday
wife.
mornings. Yeah. But we were going to bed Tuesday night, and my wife was like, hey, can I ask you a favor? And she's like, it's a big one. And I was like, oh God, what is it? And she's like,
don't watch Obi-Wan without me.
She said, can you watch Kenobi with me when you get home from work? And I went, I don't know. I was like,
on Wednesday night?
Yeah. Oh. So I didn't get home till like 9 or 9:30.
Right.
I was like, I don't know.
So you were waiting a whole 12 hours extra.
Yeah. But I did it. I did it. And, but it was fun because she got to see me excited. And, you know, because this was huge for me. I was like, oh my God, they brought him in. And she's like, and I'm just now getting her.
You bet your buttons, buddy.
And so, you know, she's just now getting to Star Wars. So this is a big victory for me, by the way.
Right.
She never wanted to watch Star Wars. It was almost like, because she's kind of a stubborn person sometimes, and so she like, it's not that she like hated, I've gotten her to love Lord of the Rings and watched Avatar, and she really liked that, so it's like all...
He has his regular hand still.
Does he still? Okay, maybe I just imagined it.
So this is even before...
Maybe I just wanted it.
Attack of the Clones.
So it would have to be pretty close to Attack of the Clones, though.
Yeah. Yeah, he has a hand.
That's my bad. I just wanted it to be that so bad. I just must have imagined it.
But that's very interesting. I would have picked up that this was post Attack of the Clones as well.
Yeah. And so she's just now getting into it, and she's getting excited to watch Kenobi with me. So she's like asking me questions, but I'm like so invested. She's like, "Okay, so who's this?" And I was like, "Darth Vader." And you know, and she's like, "What's his name?" I was like, "Anakin." Shh, you know. And so I'm just like, I'm all the way invested, you know. But I loved it.
So what was your reaction? So obviously I'm a little bit more expressive than you typically.
Yeah.
So.
Well, and she's like, I mean, you're married, so like you're cuddling, we're, you know, just newly married, and she was like, and I just saw the back of his head, and I was like, you know, and, you just like, it immediately pulled me in. And
you shove her off?
I literally took my arm from around her, I sat up straight, like I'm leaning forward now. Like,
it reminds me of that meme whenever there's a guy, and he's laying in bed like this, and the Lego Super Star Destroyer is next to him, and his wife's sleeping on the ground. Have you seen that?
No.
This kid's like so smug, and the Lego, like the 7-foot long one, Super Star Destroyer, is in her spot in the bed, and she's like this, just like looking up him all angry. But yeah, I was wondering what her response was.
She was obviously, I think my excitement communicated to her. I was like, oh, this is a big deal.
Right, of course.
The whole episode. But even when, she has never been invested in Star Wars. So, by the point where Obi-Wan's fighting, Reva and all the stormtroopers, and he like throws her back with a force, she was like into it. She's like, oh my God, he just pushed her back so hard. She's like invested in it with me. So that was really exciting for me. Okay, so my first standout moment is the flashback. Right.
Do you have one?
The episode is the standout moment, honestly.
The whole thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
I wanted more. I always want more. The duel between Darth Vader, if we can call it a duel, between Darth Vader and Third Sister, where he's toying with her. I mean, this was, Luke and Kylo right here. He's completely in control. Doesn't even use his own lightsaber the entire time. He's literally just punking her. Mm-hmm. Freaking love to see it. The ease with which he grabbed that shuttle out of the air and then just ripped the freaking wall out of it.
Whenever he comes around, okay, here's a little something that I was like, whenever I was watching, Vader never, ever, ever, never, ever is he ever in a hurry to do anything. Like, even when in the Rogue One hallway scene, he's like, freaking guys, I'm gonna kill these guys. A presence I've not felt since, and he hurries away. Lord Vader, the Emperor calls you. Take the ship out of asteroid field, and he hurries away. Yeah. Like, it's very rarely. There's 2 instances that I can think of that it's like, see ya, And the moment that he's like, tell her stand down. Yeah. And they're like, Lord, and he's like, just.
He wants it so
dude,
bad.
And he's walking, and it's like,
he's
going,
pace.
dog. He is walking.
It's like, it's heavy breathing.
But dude, whenever, literally, I'm watching it on the couch in the break room over here, and it's freaking, it's me. Let's see. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's like 6 of us in there, right? I'm the diehard in the room, so I'm seeing everything. I'm like, my head's just on a spinner. Yeah. And it freaking like I felt like the Grinch, where he's just like, just like freaking seeing everything. And then whenever he's walking and he comes through the door and the ship takes off, before he even reaches up, I scream the Ron Coda, pull it out of the sky! And he freaking goes, Soom! And I was like, yeah! I was just screaming,
and it wasn't like the last, or the Rise of Skywalker where, Rey's struggling and, it's still kind of pulling away from her. He was like, meh, just brought that bad boy
in the Rise of Skywalker, you can definitely see the strength and the power that Kylo has over Rey. Like, whenever he's pulling that, he's like, and he has more control, and it's only when Rey taps into the dark side and like shoots it out of the air with the lightning that she overtakes it. And then when they're fighting on the ruins of the Death Star, Kylo's just like, da, da, and just, has his way. This is Vader, like, he's doing this, and then you see it do an extra, like, zoom, like, trying to pull away, and he's like, yeah. And he's like, no need for these doors. He just throws the whole freaking ship apart. Yeah.
Dude, that's another time my wife, she freaked out. She was like, "I just ripping that thing apart," And so, like, to see somebody who's like a new Star Wars fan, get excited about that, it makes me feel a little less ridiculous. That I was like, "Oh my God!" You very rarely see that type of forced manhandling. Oh yeah, live action. So.
And that stuff we need more of.
Yeah, I love it. I love it.
It really shows you how freaking OP Starkiller was in the video games.
I know, right? Or he's a whole freaking Star Destroyer. Good God.
That'd be sick. Okay, so, that's an amazing standout moment. I'm trying to think of anything else that was crazy. Okay, here was something that was really cool was, as the show goes on, Obi-Wan's outfit is more and more Jedi, less and less Heidi. And whenever we used to get action figures as a kid, all the characters, there was no soft goods. Everybody just had a rubber cape. So their arms were the color of the cape. And then the cape would just go over them. Yeah. And so every once in a while, you're feeling kind of risky with your action figures. So you take the cape off and you put it on someone else. So it's like Boba Fett has his regular Boba Fett arms and the Jedi cape. And Obi-Wan does that where he has like just the coat but not the sleeves. And I was like, this looks kind of silly, but my childhood mind is like, yeah, I would do that.
Yeah.
And he's just wearing it. And just weird things like, it's hard, like even with Skier being one of my favorite High Republic characters, it's hard for me to see the Trandoshans like with the path. And I'm like, so these guys are lying. Like, these guys are definitely working for the bad guys. And I noticed a little tidbit that stood out to me is that the Trandoshans had 3 fingers in this one versus the stupid 5 from Book of Boba Fett. And then there's a crate where there's just lightsabers laying about willy-nilly.
Lightsabers galore. Yeah.
What's up with that? And we kind of looked into it, and there's none that are recognizable.
I didn't recognize any, and I'm quite a nerd when it comes to the hilts. I want to know whose is whose. And I wonder if it was because it looked like maybe there's some sort of wall of fame here. It's my understanding that this is the outpost that everything runs through. So
yeah, it's kind of like if you can get to Jabeam, you can get to a new life.
Part of me wonders if like it was almost like an armory where it's like if a Jedi, because there were Jedi robes there too, like things that maybe were recovered from the temple, or
I wonder if it's that,
66.
Or I wonder if it's even the opposite of that, where it's like, okay, you made it this far, here's a new identity, here's a new set of clothes, we're gonna need your lightsaber. Like basically, if you want to survive, leave all that crap here. It could be either one.
Yeah. So I don't know. It seemed a little bit. I would say it was a memorial, but it looked too irreverent. You know, it looked
I don't think it was a memorial. I think it was just like,
like
I think it was to show us that
like another Jedi died in the line of duty. Go ahead and toss his lightsaber in the crate.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It kind of reminded me of the moment that if you're religious or a Bible reader or whatever, there's the moment in the Old Testament where Elijah thinks he's alone, and then he's shown that there's like so many others that are still faithful. And I think it kind of is that moment where Obi-Wan this whole time has felt like he's alone, and he goes from no one's coming, Leia, to he looks and it's like you know, I can't remember the exact quote, but it's like the light will never die. And like it's cool because like 30 seconds after the movie comes or the episode comes out, you can go online and someone's been like that cat on the keyboard like typing out and transcribing all the Arabesh, and from episode 3 on the wall it said "For Light and Life," which is sick because it's a High Republic reference. But then also in this one it was like the light will never die, even in darkness there is light, things like that. So to me it was kind of like it's reminding him that like even though maybe the ways of the Jedi aren't what they used to be, like the light never goes out. Like they can't snuff it out.
That the light fades, but it never disappears or is never forgotten.
Yeah,
something like that.
I thought that was really cool, and that's pretty early on. So the flashbacks obviously were huge. Him finally trusting Haja after not trusting him, not trusting anybody. I knew I was an idiot.
Yeah.
The negotiating was huge. I'm just kind of scrubbing through here to see it. Obviously, the moment where I was proven right, whenever he says, "You're not serving him, you're hunting him." I was like, "Frick yeah!" I was so excited.
Did you tell anybody in the room? Like, I told him.
I didn't say I told you, but I was like, I called it.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool.
I accepted that if she were like one of those Padawans, she would have been on the prowl. But yeah.
Okay, one last big one before we move on to the moment that we'll probably talk about in the what's next. The one big one to me also was the Grand Inquisitor's reappearance. Like, we obviously knew that he was around. And again, going back to that, like, not everything's going to be perfect, but just trust. Like, don't judge the whole series and be like, are they trying to get rid of Rebels?
Yeah.
Like, to me, I was like, hang on. Like people were literally posting, like, I guess Rebels isn't canon now. And I was like, they literally have a show about Ahsoka coming out with Grand Admiral Thrawn waiting in the wings to be the greatest villain we've ever seen on screen. Like... No, they didn't decanonize Rebels.
Yeah.
You know? And it was funny because Rupert Friend was on some late night talk show and they're like, so you were stabbed in the stomach. And Rupert was like, one of my stomachs. If you knew anything about Palins. Like, he's obviously alluding like he's going to be back, duh. But it was cool to see him again. I wish we got more from him. Yeah. I feel like that's the end of his appearance in the show.
I don't care. Couldn't care less.
About the Inquisitor?
About him not getting like a lot of screen time because it's like, oh yeah, cool, he's still alive, you know.
Yeah.
And then I wanted Vader, the Grand Inquisitor.
Oh sure,
means nothing to me.
I wanted more Vader as well. I just really like the Grand Inquisitor.
Yeah, I think he's cool.
It would have been no obviously Vader, like Reva's a decent character. I thought her acting to me, the best moments from Moses Ingram as Reva are actually the more difficult acting moments. And what I mean by that is, to me, it doesn't take a whole, like, there's more people in the world who could do a good open fire. Like, a lot of people can do that. There's not a lot of people that can have those quiet, contemplating moments, you know, where... And remember, I pointed this out when we were talking about episode 3, 4, 2? I don't remember. Anyways, the one where the fifth brother's like, you're going to get what's coming to you. And he walks off.
Episode 3.
It's a 3? And she goes, I hope so. She whispers, I hope I get what's coming to me.
Yeah.
And to me, I was like, well, she obviously isn't talking about a butt whooping. I hope I get whooped. You know what I mean? She's talking about the revenge moment. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, maybe episode 4.
Send out the probes, do it now. That would have been episode 3. Because they send the probes out to...
I think it was 4, because that was when the probes appeared wherever Kenobi was.
Episode 4 is when they're going to rescue Leia. 3 is when she's taken at the end of Obi-Wan and Vader's first duel.
Okay, yeah, you're right.
But yeah, that moment early on where the fifth was like, I will get what's coming to me. And so will you.
Yeah.
And she says, I hope so. That was the first moment that I was like, huh. You know what I mean? Like, that moment was a great acting moment from Moses Ingram. That gave depth to the character. The moment in episode 4 where she's trying to plead with Leia to give her some information before she's willing to just torture her. And she's like, look, I lost everything. And help me out. Like those softer moments, the moment talking to Obi-Wan at the gate, those were the strongest moments to me of her acting. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I thought that would have been cool. Although, like I said, Reva's a cool character. Obviously, I know that maybe they didn't use the Grand Inquisitor because they know he can't be killed. Yeah. Up until Rebels. New characters, nothing really here. It's just
not a whole lot.
A little bit more Ice Cube Jr. Yeah. We got some sick action from Ned B, the droid, where...
Yeah, that was cool.
He's a loader, so obviously, like, he probably has, like, pistons in his arms to, like, load. Yeah. And so there's a moment where he takes a stormtrooper and just shoves him up into the ceiling, and then the other one, he does, like, a rock'em sock'em punch, and the stormtrooper's like, woo, woo, woo,
I'm a little upset that we didn't get to ever see him use that hammer.
The hammer,
because it was in the trailer we talked.
But
about
I do think I did think it was a cool. I wanted the hammer, and I did a whole like, what is this? You know, I did the whole thing. But I did like that he had. It looked like a B1 blaster, B1 battle droid blaster was the blaster that Ned was using. So I thought that was cool. A little, prequel shout out. I'm trying to scrub through the video here to see if I can see him holding the blaster, and I can know for sure. Tala's death was obviously really sad.
Yeah, that was emotional.
It was equally emotional for me that Ned was like standing over her, letting himself get blasted for her. Frick. I was almost more sad for that.
Yeah, a real K2 moment.
That was a very K2 moment. I agree. Yeah. So what's
ironically,
next?
It's kind of like opposite of K2.
What do you mean?
Because he like only leads with his actions. Like K2 is very vocal.
Very, very, very vocal. Yeah.
His whole persona is based on his quips, which I loved.
Very high. Yeah, I'm excited to get more K2. I hope he's in. I don't think he's supposed to not be in
last
Andor.
I heard he wasn't gonna be.
But I'll believe it when I don't see it. If that makes sense. I think he's holding a B1 blaster. I could be wrong. It would have been cool if he was, though. Okay, so we're going into the finale. What's next?
I think we're going to have like a pretty quick handoff of Leia on Alderaan.
Lickety split.
Yeah, and I think Obi-Wan already seems to know that Reva knows about Luke. I think it's going to be a very
he does have that moment towards the end where he's like, something's wrong.
Yeah, he's very connected to the Force again.
Which is amazing.
Yeah, I think he knows what's happening, but he doesn't want to startle Leia. I think there's going to be a pretty quick handoff, and he goes to Tatooine and handles it. So I wonder if the original ending for Episode 6 was that he has a confrontation with Reva and kills her. And if they wanted to open up season 2, she would be like kind of the mainline villain. That she survives, Episode 6, and there's some sort of like Kenobi maybe has to quiet her, so there's maybe a pursuit like a reverse hunt.
Huh.
But yeah, I think all signs point to Tatooine.
Let me ask you this. When they were talking and hyping up Kenobi, when we first started talking about it, Kathleen Kennedy, her words were rematch of the century between Anakin and Obi-Wan. There's going to be the majority of fans want Mustafar round 2. Not necessarily on Mustafar, but that level of equality of fighting, which I think Obi-Wan is closer to right now. My question is, do you think when she said that it was rematch in the physical sense, or just a meeting of the minds, mind games back and forth? The rematch is, you can beat me physically, but my trust is in the Force, and I can beat you mentally, that type of thing.
I think...
Will we see Kenobi versus Vader in Episode 6?
I don't know that we will, because it looks like Kenobi, he's making a beeline for Tatooine. And all indications that we have from every Star Wars existence ever is Vader never has any indication that his kid's on Tatooine.
No idea. That's in the movies, the comics, everything.
It's hard for me to imagine that he just goes there and like that's the end of that. You know, that Ben's able to somehow hide out there for another 10 years. So I think Reva's the only person. I can't imagine that he's going to have to go to Tatooine, quiet it. You know, there'd be some other showdown with Vader. I think maybe Episode 5 of the revisitation of the relationship that Obi-Wan and Anakin have, playing into, you know, the way that they fight each other through their understanding of each other. It seems like it's much more a chess game than it is a fight.
I agree. I think there's going to be some disappointment from fans because we're not going to get Mustafar Battle Part 2. And I get that that's one of the greatest duels ever. Probably the greatest lightsaber fight ever.
If it happens, it happens. Let it by all means happen. I don't think that's
But I do
going.
think that the thought behind what she was saying is, over the course of these 6 episodes, specifically 3 through 5, there's a moment of drastic transformation. Vader clearly gets the better of him in 3. They don't really cross paths in 4. And in 5, Obi-Wan's back at, you know, at 85, 90% of who he was before, and he gets the better of Vader and his people.
To think that it's still been Kenobi versus Vader this whole time. Kenobi's main perception is, I have to do this because Vader. Vader's whole perception is, I'm going to allow all this to play out because Kenobi. You know, and that's the underlying. I mean, there's the Reva thing, there's the Inquisitor, you know, complex. There's Leia, Luke are in danger, but really what's playing out is Obi-Wan running from and hiding things from Vader, and Vader relentlessly pursuing Obi-Wan. That's what's happening. Yeah,
I agree. So, real quick before I go to my my wild predictions.
Okay.
Did it break your heart a little bit that the first flashback you realized is Anakin thinking about the old days as well?
I don't know that it's like heartbreaking that it's like a fresh wound. I think it's just always, because I think that's always been played into, especially if you look at, I think Lords of the Sith is canon, right?
Yeah.
That I think that's very heavily played into, that's something that he's dealing with and getting over, and you know, something that's very present, and he's constantly living this life of duality of Anakin doesn't exist anymore, but then he still has to deal with this emotional, you know, work that he's going through of, you know, this was, you know, the relationship that I had and it's gone and he betrayed me, and, you know, I think there's a lot going on there, and there always has been. And from what we can tell from episodes 4 through 6, there always will have been through both their lives.
Yeah. It's interesting to me. It did make me sad. And I do wonder, like, if there's not this big payoff for them having another confrontation. I do wonder to some extent if, like, the moment of him just giving up, Anakin is dead at this point. I wonder if that took place in 3 when he asked, "Who are you?" and he said, "I am what you made me. You should have killed me when you had the chance." I wonder if there's not going to be something else. I do think there's a chance. So here's the other thing that's weird. I've heard rumor that Part 6 is going to be an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And I've heard 2 rumors. I've heard a rumor that it's an hour and a half. I've also heard half an hour of that hour and a half, so a third of it is like a Q&A about the show, about the making of the show, all that. Either
I would be
way,
disappointed if that's the case. I would like to see like an under the helmet sort of thing, like afterwards, but
right.
I don't want it right now.
So, I agree. Even so, if we get an hour-long episode, it's hard for me to picture. There's got to be something wild that happens.
Yeah.
It can't just be a showdown on Tatooine. So
Yeah,
I wonder what that looks like.
Maybe like the handoff isn't as quick, or there's like another like miniature pursuit, or there's some hostage situation where she's like, you know, you get the boy if you bring Vader to me again, sort of thing. Although I can't imagine she would be, you know, too eager for another showdown after getting manhandled. But I don't know. I can't imagine that a bulk of the next episode doesn't take place on Tatooine. I mean, it was almost blatantly stated that, you know, the hunt now shifts to Luke. You know, that Grieve is aware of something that she shouldn't be once again. I am still curious if she realizes that Leia is Anakin's kid, or if she still thinks it's Bail's kid and there was some relationship between Kenobi and Bail.
I think that she's never going to go back to Vader. So even if she finds out who he is, it's not going to... She can't take that information anywhere because Vader already knows who she is.
Yeah. I wonder if we have like almost some miniature apprenticeship from Obi-Wan to Reva.
You think so?
Just bouncing some ideas around.
I'm trying to look...
that, you know, she's obviously realized that she doesn't have a chance, almost like a reversal of Dark Disciple. You know, where she's like, if I want to beat him, you know, I have to go to somebody better than me. And I think in the toe-to-toe showdown, she realized that Kenobi has outclassed her.
Yeah. I do wonder... I'm trying to look up... There's a moment where Kenobi fights Black Chrysanthemum in the comics. But I can't remember what time in the timeline what point in the timeline that is. Okay, so here's my wild prediction that I have no grounds for. I'm just spitballing.
Okay.
I think Reva's going to make it to Tatooine. I think what I would like, I'm going to make a short about this probably tonight and put it out Sunday, and this will probably come out Monday, so I'll already put the short out. But my thought is, back in the day, there was a comic line called Star Wars Visionaries, and it's just like kind of what if type things. And there's a story in there called Old Wounds, and this is how they brought back Maul before Clone Wars brought back Maul. And it's the picture of him. His legs are very similar to the legs that the Dathomirian witch is given, where he has the big claws for feet and stuff. Mother Talzin gives him. But he's got these really crazy horns, like when you find him, you know, on whatever planet that is that Savage finds him. Long story short, he goes up there, and we can't tell if he's looking for Obi-Wan or if he's just looking for revenge against the Chosen One, and there is a boy out there. Somehow he finds his way to the Lars homestead. And before Owen can stop him, he takes the gun from Owen and breaks it over his head. And Obi-Wan is like in hiding in the sand and comes up and starts fighting him and beats him pretty easily, right? And he has the lightsaber blade pretty like the lightsaber's not on, but he has it like right here to his head, like execution style. And he has a moment of pause where he's like, the last time we fought, like all this went to crap. Do I kill him? Do I show him mercy? What do I do? You know what I mean? Like obviously a very conflicted individual, similar to who we see in the earlier stages of the Kenobi series. And then out of frickin' nowhere, Owen with the broken gun just blows frickin' Maul's head off because he's like, I'm not taking any chances.
Yeah.
This is a cut and dry decision for me, Obi-Wan.
Are we going to... I think I remember hearing you say in passing something along the lines of you would love to see Owen...
I would love to see Owen be the one that kills Reva.
Yeah.
And that's the send-off of, like, you get the freak out of here. Stop coming around. Every time you come around, there's a freaking issue.
Yeah.
He already had an issue with Reva. Now she's actually coming to the dadgum farm, and we can tell we've been crapping on Owen all these years, but it turns out he actually really loves Luke. And the butthole side of Owen that comes out in episode 4 is the fear and anxiety of, crap, I've been protecting this boy for 20 years, and now I can't, he's an adult, he's going to leave, and I can't protect him anymore. That's where that comes from.
Yeah. Well, and I never thought that he was just like this overbearing, doesn't want the best for Luke. I think it's very much he doesn't know any better because he's never seen the galaxy outside of this farm. And
right.
He knows this farm. He knows he can protect whoever's
I
on
can
this
keep
farm.
this safe.
Yeah. And
but I want to see
outside of his control.
I want to see Reva get killed by Owen. That would just be sick.
That'd be wild.
And you can't survive a shotgun blast to the side of the head. Apparently, she's impervious to lightsaber wounds.
Yeah.
I know the dark side is very powerful.
She's got that God-shaped hole right here where the lightsaber goes.
It's because she doesn't have a soul.
Yeah, Blaise Pascal.
That's really funny. But, dude, episode 5 was epic. If I was a show writer, I would not want the second to last episode to be better than the last episode.
Yeah.
So
nobody wants the penultimate to be greater than the ultimate. So
yeah.
I imagine,
there's probably something wild coming in episode 6. Wouldn't you think? My
standard for finales has been molded by The Mandalorian season 1 and 2.
Dude.
Book of Boba Fett. Some people were disappointed. I enjoyed the finale.
Oh my gosh. Again, people are disappointed, and I'm like, okay, so you didn't want Boba Fett riding a Rancor, killing Cad Bane with a gappy stick.
I literally...
I don't want to be friends with you.
They're like, yeah, Book of Boba Fett was trash. And I was like, but like, he rode a Rancor, though, so... Is that the joke?
Is that the joke? Like, Tusken fiends?
Yeah, I don't...
We get the most Tuskens ever. I would love to see the Tuskens kill Reva.
That might be all right with me.
Wouldn't that be sick?
Yeah. What if she has, like, just a canteen of water and they're like, no!
No. Maybe I finally get the plug eye I've been waiting on.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Dude, it would be sick
if she becomes plug eye?
No. It's doesn't count. It would be cool if, like, we didn't see it, but Obi-Wan had an allegiance or an alliance or, like, an understanding with the Tuskens.
He seems to have something worked out by episode 4.
Right. But, yeah, that'd be cool. So, anyways, we don't have to go on for forever, but episode 5 was fantastic.
Loved it.
It was exciting to do an in-person talk again. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited for that. So you guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Like I said earlier, you guys know that we have Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, all that stuff. Follow us. And if you're a fan of the show and you want to see this continue to grow and get bigger and things like that, please send our YouTube to your Star Wars friends, Star Wars family, people that barely know about Star Wars, but they want to know a ton, or they want to have in-depth knowledge of things they have no idea what we're talking about. And let's get those watch hours up. There's 4 criteria. We've met 3 of them.
Just the watch hours.
But the watch hours are killing us. And it's not shorts.
Yeah.
It's the longer episodes. So even if you just have it playing and in the background at work or whatever. Anyways,
even if you just start playing the video in the background instead of just listening to the audio on the podcast.
Yeah.
That'd be huge.
That makes a big difference. So thank you guys. And man, we literally have been thinking about, like, what if this goes somewhere? The dream for us is to be able to do this, not obviously full-time's like an amazing way out there dream, but I would feel like, wow, we really did it if we were asked to go be a part of even a small Comic-Con, like even here in Houston or even freaking in Tulsa, like anywhere. If somebody random that listens to us and they're in freaking Columbus, Ohio, but they're a big fan and they're the head of their Comic-Con and they ask us to come to it. Just people, I guess talking about feeling justification or vindication for putting all this work in.
Yeah.
It feels cool we've had a small channel for so long, and 4,000 is nothing to shake a stick at, but it's not 100,000. You know what I mean? It's still, obviously in the grand scheme of things, it's still a smaller channel, even though I love that we're growing.
Yeah.
But some of the comments that bring a smile to my face are the comments where people will say, man, I don't know how I just found this channel. This is awesome.
Right.
Like those comments really, really get me. So I really enjoy that. So again, if we do finally get to full monetization and it's in YouTube's best interest to show us to more people because now they're making money as we're making money and things like that, that'd be an amazing thing. So absolutely. If you're a listener, if you're a friend of the podcast, please watch some of those longer episodes. on YouTube to get those watch hours up.
Yeah.
And we'd be grateful to you. And it'll help us be able to do more. So if you're a fan and you like what we do, we can do more of that as the years come and as we get those moments up. So thank you very much. If you guys liked what we had to say or had thoughts that we didn't cover, sound off in the comments. We're really good about replying to those. Again, helping us grow on Apple Podcasts is leaving us a 5-star review and then writing something in there. We'll read it on the air. The most recent one is, like I said, there's a podcast or a Twitter account called the Star Wars Skinny, and all they put was my shirt came off. So that was really cool. I do hope that now, here's one last prediction, and then we'll sign off. Now that he's found some peace within the Force, maybe he's in a mental state where he can hear from his old master.
I think we get Qui-Gon episode 6. That's what I've been saying the whole time since episode 1. I was like, no way we get it before episode 5, but probably episode 6. I'd love to see it. I'd love it
as
for
well.
half an hour to be him talking to old Qui-Gon Jinn.
Yeah, maybe that's what, oh my gosh, that would take it to the next level. That might, if we get a great amount of action, even more character development somehow, and then we get into the Cosmic Force.
Tell you what, even if we had like a sidebar where Quinlan now hears about Obi-Wan resurfacing, he uses his psychometry on all the sites to kind of hunt him down like he used to do for the Jedi.
My God.
Maybe helps him show down on Tatooine.
Next level.
Yep.
That'd be awesome. Thank you guys so much for tuning into the Chiss Ascendancy podcast. This is Josiah, Samuel. Remember, the Force will be with you always.
And the only family you have yet is me.
We'll see you guys next time.